that I greatly respect, but also leaders that have shown the value of this, of their leadership for the organization. We believe that that helps the organization do well, and you have done exceptionally well. I mean, given the circumstances, McCormick is doing great. Stock is up, revenues are up. You're trading at like the same valuation as a tech company. What's going on?
Well, well, first of all, McCormick is the world's leader in flavor, and although many consumers know us from the household brands that we supply, like McCormick and French's and Frank's, and of course Old Bay, but when a disaster like this strikes, and people's behavior changes and they hunker down at home a lot more. They may not be going to their favorite restaurant, but they may be getting takeout from a quick service restaurant that's flavored, products flavored by us. Or even more likely, and is in fact what is really happening, is they're cooking at home and they're staying home with their families. The kids are at home. There's a whole new meal occasion called lunch that people have to prepare. And all of that cooking at home requires our products to make it taste good. So right now, keeping up with the surge in demand from that changed consumer behavior is a both a high class problem for us and a business opportunity. It's also a responsibility we feel to society. People can't shelter at home if they're worried about where food is going to come from.
The crisis itself. We're now sort of through this first phase. And there's a sense that one can sort of look back and say, how did certain things work out, or how didn't it work out? Generally speaking, I would say that it feels you've been ahead of the curve a lot of times through COVID-19 crisis. Tell me a little bit about what guiding principles or priorities sort of helped lead you and helped lead McCormick through it.
Right. So Frans, well, first of all, just as background, we've got operations all over the world, and sometimes what looks like bad luck, it actually turns out to be good luck. So one of our large facilities is in Wuhan, China. We have almost 1,000 employees there, and when the disaster, the pandemic first broke out, that was ground zero. And we said, oh my gosh, what bad luck. We have this huge facility there. It's going to be tremendously impacted. But it actually gave us an early insight into the potential scope and the risk that we were facing, that enabled us to think about it maybe more quickly and clearly. So we made a couple of really quick early calls. And first is that we set some, we said this is going to, we recognize that this is going to be not just a China incident, but a global incident. And we set 3 priorities for. So the first was, the health and safety of our employees and the quality and integrity of our products. Those 2 things go together. They build on a foundation that McCormick is all about. We have 2 of our principles are the power of people. And so people saw that health and safety as a commitment to people. There's a foundation of trust there that enables people to know the company is not going to ask me to do anything that's going to put me in danger. Also told our managers, hey, we're going to make sure that we take care of the people that are in our care. And then the quality and integrity of our products goes to another principle, which is the taste you trust. Our consumers, our customers, they need to know that the products that we're putting out there are still going to be safe. No corners have been cut. We're not putting them at risk. Those 2 things really had to go hand in hand. The second priority was business continuity. And I could elaborate on that, but I won't, because everyone knows what that means.
Yeah.
And the third was coming out of this a stronger company and finding the opportunities and finding relative advantage out of it, which goes to giving people hope and having people think beyond the crisis. But what does this mean for us in the future? And, so we had a foundation in place on some principles. We also had a foundation in place on ways of working. And this really goes Frans, to some of the work that we've done with you and with Medici uh, around growth behaviors that enabled us to also be more prepared to react to the issue, not react, but respond to the changing circumstances. So, one of the growth behaviors is move fast. We said, we moved fast. We made some fast decisions. We made fast decisions around priorities. Those were not our priorities at the beginning of the year. When we said, "Wow, there's a crisis here," we put those priorities in place. We had to reallocate resources, and you talk about dynamic reallocation of resources.
Yes.
We had to decide what we were going to lean into, and importantly, what we were going to stop.
Yeah.
We had big programs underway that we put on pause because we said while they're important for the long term, they are actually in the way of us navigating through this crisis. The thinking about coming through this as a stronger company also goes to reframing,
Yeah.
and constantly reframing. So how is consumer behavior changing? How do our strategies stack up against the changes in consumer behavior as we go through this crisis? These were some important considerations as we worked our way through this.
And they are at the heart of change in general. It's just that when change is coming so fast, so furious, it accentuates. It amplifies the need of these types of behaviors of reframing, of moving fast, of reallocating resources, and underneath all of that, which I always come back to in these conversations, is this idea of bringing together diverse perspectives, of including the different perspectives. Everybody on a team needs to be able to lean in quickly, but your decision making improves as you do that.
It has been great working with you and Medici. We have gotten our team's speed, effectiveness, inclusion, adaptability faster. We've been very successful with the growth behaviors that you have helped embed into our culture and into our strategy. What is really exciting about it is that Medici's approach doesn't add extra work for our teams. The coaching that Medici does with our teams helps deliver on our goals better, faster, and more creativity without consuming a bunch more resources. You've been great to work with. It's a pure pleasure.